Good morning and welcome to worship at the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Atlanta. I'm Laura Beth Brown, Director of Lifespan Religious Education, and I am so glad you are joining us here this morning. I want to invite you to participate fully in our worship service. Find a place, a comfortable place where you can be fully present. Go ahead and find your chalice and sing along with the hymns. And also find that place where you can engage in meditation more fully as well. Invite yourself into that this morning. And after the service, we invite you to comment on the Facebook page and interact with fellow congregants. So this morning, we are fortunate to have UU Troubadour Jim Scott leading our hymns and sharing some special music. Jim will be leading two of the many hymns he's written in both of our hymnals. So please arise as you are able and join us in singing our opening hymn, The Oneness of Everything.
The oneness of everything. 4 verses. Far beyond the grasp of hands, or light to meet the eye, past the reaches of the mind, there find the key to nature's harmony in an architecture so entwined. Like the birds whose patterns raise the sky and carry all who join in love expanding, the message of peace will rise in flight, taking the weight of the world upon its wings, in the oneness of everything. Peace is in the dance of trees, who stir before the first breath of wind is yet perceived. Trust in the song, becoming one with the dance, and all mysteries can be believed. Like the sorrow of the clouds, whose tears fall carrying on the soil, undemanding. Lessons of love are given that we might rejoice in the music they bring, of the oneness of everything. From chords that sound of molecules, spinning billions to a cell, the call resounds afar to the sun who warms the dancing earth, and whose song holds it close on the journey of a star. Songs of lives long past that touch our own are written in the earth, forever giving. And now, to maintain the harmony, gives to us all lives worth living, for the oneness of everything. Still we seek to find a truth that we might understand and reduce to terms defined, vast and immeasurable, time and space, all so overwhelmingly designed. Oh, passing years, just might I know the faith that winters in the heart, to be reborn in spring, to hear and to feel the pulse of life enters my soul as a song to sing of the oneness of everything.
Hello, my name is Reverend Taryn Strauss. I'm senior minister here at the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Atlanta. It is a joy to have Jim Scott performing his music with us today from his home. Such a special, important, meaningful song for me. I think The Oneness of Everything is a hymn that just encapsulates so much of our expansive Unitarian Universalist theology so well. I'm very grateful for Jim and his work. So I am also grateful for you. So glad you are here joining us in worship on this beautiful morning. Wherever you are from, I want you to know, whomever you love, whatever path you are on, you are welcome here to worship with us. I also hope you will join us for our adult religious education programming happening this Tuesday at 7:30 p.m. This will be the first in a 3-part series presented in partnership with our Climate Action Team and Georgia Interfaith Power and Light. Together, we will explore environmental justice, environmental racism, and their relationships to climate change. This is going to be a fabulous program. I hope to catch it as well. The link to register for all the adult RE classes is going into the live chat right now, or you can find that link on in your weekly update email. I want to invite you also to join us in our Zoom Room social hour happening immediately following this service. If you have not already, please do sign up to get an invitation to the Zoom Room social hour by following the link that comes in your weekly update email or the link that is being provided in the live stream chat right about now. This morning's beautiful flowers were donated to us by John and Lisa Guyton in honor of John's sister Julie, who died 2 years ago this week from ALS. Thank you so much for the beautiful flowers, John and Lisa. I want you to know that our annual meeting, the annual congregational meeting where many decisions are made and lots of reports are shared, well, that's just around the corner coming up on May 16th. The Board of Trustees invites you to attend one of the upcoming town hall meetings by registering at uuca.org/town hall. Participating in the town hall meetings in advance of the congregational meeting will help all the meetings go smoothly, and we'll cover a lot of ground before we get to that larger congregational meeting. So please do join Board of Trustees at one of these upcoming town halls. You can also register for this to meet your new Board of Trustees members, new members of the stewardship and nominating committees at this meeting at the town halls. Again, that's uuca.org/town hall. Through our live chats, we can express love and care and welcome for each other. So won't you please take a moment now? Please say hello to each other and anybody else who may be visiting us for worship this morning. Once again, we are so glad you are joining us for this morning's worship about our seventh principle in our Normalize This worship series. This is a worship series where we trouble the whole idea of what is normal and what is unique or out there or marginal, and take a moment to reverse those or subvert those ideas, all in service of our spiritual imagination. So thank you so much for joining us as we normalize hugging trees on our seventh principle, Earth Day Sunday. And now it is time to get out your chalice at home, wherever you are, and join me in lighting this morning's chalice and saying our chalice lighting words together. May the light of this flame illuminate our tradition of seeking, invite all who yearn for acceptance, and ignite our passion for justice and peace.
1, 2, 3. On the ground level, turtles and leopards and snakes live in the shelter the understory makes. The ground is so soft and the air is so clear, with 300 inches of rain every year. Oh, let the rain feed the thirsty ground. Sing me the song of life you sing, such a beautiful sound. Now does that sound like a participatory chorus to you?
Yeah, let's sing it again.
With 4 notes. Oh, let the rain feed the thirsty ground. Sing me the song of life you sing, such a beautiful sound. And down in the ground, the worms and the ants nurture the roots of the flowering plants. And up in the canopy, life is a breeze. Orangutans swing from the limbs of the trees. Oh, let the rain feed the thirsty ground. Sing me the song of life you sing, such a beautiful sound. Now while some of us sing that part, we need some others of us to sing another part. If you got a higher voice, you can sing, rain come down, rain come down. That's it. Rain come down, rain come down, rain come down, rain come down. Third verse, high up above, where the toucans fly, they're birds. Emergent treetops reach into the sky. There's more kinds of plants than anyone knows. Look out, there's a sloth hanging by her 3 toes. Oh, let the rain come down, feed the thirsty ground. Rain come down, sing me the song of life you sing, such a beautiful rain sound. Come down. Oh, let the rain come down, feed the thirsty crowd. Rain come down, sing me the song of life you sing, such a beautiful rain come down. And about this point, I like to put in the pop quiz. What were those 4 levels levels of the rainforest. They went by fast. Well, there's the ground level, not so level, and there's the understory, which likes to grow in the shade of the canopy. And then the tallest, biggest old trees stick up sometimes way above the canopy, called the emergent level, and that's the 4 levels. And this is my musical memory device. There's the understory. The understory goes up and down. Understory. The understory. And the ground level. The ground level. The ground level. The ground level. Canopy. Canopy.
So we have had a number of births during this pandemic time, and one of those children, Sora Joyner Clark, had her first birthday on Earth Day this past week. And so I'm going to invite you to participate in the movement prayer led by Sora and her mother and sister.
First, we bow to honor the spirit of life. We lift our arms and embrace the gifts of spirit. We bring these gifts unto ourselves with gratitude and breathe and smile. We share these gifts with the world. We remember to be present. Honor, embrace, gratitude, share, be present.
Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit to me, come to me.
Let us put hands upon hearts and feel the warm connection. Let love in this moment flow. Say to yourself silently, I will love myself. I will love others. And that love will heal the world. At this time, we hear the joys and sorrows of this congregation. Let us send healing thoughts to Jim Kelly. Jim received a fracture in his back from a bicycle accident this week. No surgery was required, and he is at home recovering. Cards and emails of support are welcome. We hold in our hearts people who are struggling today with loneliness, grief, loss, or illness throughout the world. May all beings find connection. May all people find comfort. May all of us find more ways to be more loving to one another. You are invited to say the names of people you are holding in your heart this morning, someone who could use a little extra loving energy coming their way today. Please write their names into the live chat or speak their names into this holy moment now. As humans have gathered for millennia, so we gather in our way on this day to gently surrender to something beyond ourselves, to humbly acknowledge our mistakes, to ask forgiveness, to seek hope and renewal, to honor the earth that supports and sustains life, to remember that all beings are inextricably and mysteriously connected, and to feel that connection. Now, we still our bodies and we still our minds. We take in a big breath and we exhale. We relax into this moment that our intentions make sacred. We enter into the wise silence.
Amrita leaned back against her favorite tree and rested. Sometimes she climbed her tree. Sometimes she spoke to her tree, sharing her daydreams and her secrets. But today was so peaceful that she sat in silence. She closed her eyes and sighed with pleasure. Cuckoo! She heard the shrill alarm call of a peacock echoing through the forest. Through the trees, she saw men marching, carrying axes. "Cut down every tree you can," she heard the chief woodcutter say. "The Maharaja needs plenty of wood." Amrita drew in her breath. They couldn't cut down the forest. Without the trees, there'd be no fruit to eat, no leaves to feed the cows, no shelter from the storm. Above her, watching her, Amrita's own tree stirred in the breeze. "I won't let them hurt you. I will protect you, I promise. I don't know how, but I will." She ran to the village and found her mother. Amma, I saw men in the forest with axes, and they are going to cut down the trees." Amrita's mother rushed around the village, calling the women away from their work. "We must save the trees," she urged. "Come on." They arrived to find the woodcutters sharpening their axes. Amrita's mother greeted the men politely. "We do not want trouble, but we cannot let you cut down the trees." The chief woodcutter cast his eyes on the group of women before him. "You do not own these trees. We have orders from the Maharaja." "Sir, these trees are our life. Their roots hold the soil together. They keep the land from sliding away during the monsoon rains. Without them, our fields and our homes would be washed away." "Never mind your huts. With this timber, the Maharaja will have the finest palace in all of India." "Please," begged Amrita's mother, "we need these trees to survive." "Enough!" The chief turned to the woodcutters and ordered, "Cut down the trees." A woodcutter shouldered his axe and strolled over to an ancient kajari. With a swift swoop, his iron blade bit deep into the bark. With a terrible groan, the tree came crashing to the ground. Amrita's mother covered her mouth, and Amrita just stared in disbelief. The woodcutters began to chop at another tree and another, and soon the grove was a graveyard of trees, broken limbs scattered on the floor, leaves dropping like tears. A woodcutter brushed past Amrita toward her own special tree. No, please don't," she cried, tears springing from her eyes. "Please don't cut down my tree." The woodcutter advanced. Amrita stepped in front of him, blocking his path. Her voice shook as she spoke. "I will not let anyone harm my tree." The woodcutter laughed out loud. "Little girl, there's nothing you can do to stop us." Amrita thought of her beloved tree lying dead on the forest floor, and she ran from the woodcutter toward her tree. Amrita flung her arms around her tree, pressing herself against it. "If you cut down this tree, you will have to cut me first." She could hear the sound of her own breathing, hard and loud. The man raised his sharp blade. "Swing your axe," commanded the chief. Amrita clenched her tree and clung to her old friend so that the bumpy bark pressed into her cheek and her arms. She felt the strength of the tree coursing through her, and she knew with a fierce, bright certainty that she was doing the right thing. "Swing your axe," the chief demanded again. The woodcutter faltered. He looked at the girl, this mere sapling of a girl, her eyes squeezed shut, her arms hugging so tight, her tear-stained cheeks pale with fright. I cannot." Amrita opened her eye, and then she opened the other to see the woodcutter's head bowed and his axe at his feet. All around her, people were hugging trees, women and children, wives and daughters, grandmothers and toddlers, all hugged trees. Some ancient trees had trunks so broad that generations of women were joining hands to embrace them. The axes lay on the forest floor. The men huddled together and talked in low voices. Then, without a word, the laborers picked up their axes and walked out of the woods. The next morning, the women were distracted at their work. Would the woodcutters return? Or the Maharaja? Would he punish those who had defied his orders? That afternoon, a thunder of hooves and a cloud of dust, the Maharaja arrived. The women joined hands and pulled their children close, but Amrita rose to greet the Maharaja with all the dignity of a queen. She was surprised to see that he carried not an axe, but a bright bundle. He climbed from his horse. Amrita watched in wonder as he unwrapped the silken cloth. "I present this royal decree to you, Amrita," said the Maharaja, "and to the women of your village in honor of your courage and your wisdom. I promise that from this day on, no trees in the forest will ever be cut down." Hundreds of years later, folk songs of the people who hugged the trees still echo through the villages in India. Amrita's courage has inspired people across the land to stand together to protect forests. Thousands of trees have been saved and 1 million more planted.
In 2017, when President Trump announced his intention to pull out of the Paris Agreement, an overwhelming chorus of Americans said, "We're still in."
An all-electric bus fleet by 2025.
To a Los Angeles that has 100% renewable energy.
Increasing the number of residents in the city of Gary who recycle.
Taking our energy generation portfolio to 65 to 75% renewable by the year 2027.
California Governor Jerry Brown and I quickly launched America's Pledge,
The key word is perseverance.
an initiative that measures the efforts of more than 4,000 cities, states, businesses, and other local groups that are committed to driving down emissions.
America's pledge on climate is so important. It's about more than living up to our responsibilities on the world stage. It's about keeping our word on the world stage.
We have to lead the charge.
We have a better future if we all work together.
We can create a 360 solution for the entire planet.
It's we the people. Working together, we'll get there.
Hey everyone, I hope you all enjoyed the video on the America is All In pledge. I'm Bert Pierce from from UUCA's Climate Action Team, and I'm here with my teammate, Natalie Sneddon. And I want to give you a little update on the video. On February 19th of this year, the United States officially rejoined the Paris Climate Agreement.
Yay, good news. Led by climate champions across the country, the America is All In coalition is working to cut U.S. emissions in half by 2030 and reach net zero emissions by 2050 while guarding against the impacts of climate disruption.
So what does that mean for UUCA? Well, on April 15th, Reverend Strauss, on behalf of our congregation, signed the America is All In pledge, joining over 4,000 organizations across the country, including approximately 25 other UU congregations.
Please join us now from your home as our congregation officially takes the America is All In pledge. Now we, the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Atlanta,
join together to reaffirm our commitment to the Paris Agreement on climate change
and pledge to partner with the Biden-Harris administration,
which has made ambitious commitments to tackle the climate crisis.
We call on the administration and other federal policymakers
to join us in a national response to ensure our safety and prosperity.
By taking immediate action.
Thanks everyone for taking the pledge. For more information on America is All In, go to americaisallin.com, and you can also find the full text of the pledge. Have a great day.
Thank you so much to Natalie Snedden, Bert Pierce, to the Climate Action Team for the ongoing work you do all throughout the year, but especially to encourage us, UUCA, to get involved in this pledge and to join our nation in rejoining the Paris Climate Agreement. So this is an exciting moment of possibility and hope for all of us. So thank you so much. I want to just introduce the call to offering brought to us by UUCA member Barbara Begner.
Good morning. I'm Barbara Begner. I wear many hats at UUCA: lay minister hat, stewardship co-chair. I'm on the hospitality and membership committee. But today, I'm wearing a different hat. I'm wearing my gardening hat. Kind of bizarre, I'd say, but let me tell you why I'm here today. I want to discuss how you live your Unitarian Universalist faith in your everyday life. How do you show up as a UU? How do you eat like a UU? How do you shop like a UU? How do you drive like a UU? Communicate like a UU? Lead like a UU? The list is endless. It's a fun exercise, but it helped me clarify what my Unitarian Universalist faith means to me and how it manifests itself in my everyday life. It allowed me to dig deeper into my faith, affording me just a new insight. So speaking of digging deeper, I want to introduce you to my garden. Here's my new garden, designed on purpose with these 4 arches representing the 4 directions, which is very significant in Native American cultures. The directions may honor the stages of life, from seed to harvest, from birth to death, or the seasons of the year. It can also signify spiritual, emotional, intellectual, and physical aspects of life that are all woven into the garden experience. Themes of patience, rebirth, resilience, and wonder emerge. Gardening requires patience. Seedlings take time to become the bountiful fruit that will nourish my family and hopefully my neighbors. There's no rushing the process. As I practice patience, this bountiful beauty will be well worth the wait. As a gardener, I witness rebirth and transformation. The seeds I sow emerge as tender seedlings, pushing up through the soil, ready to grow and meet their full potential. Look at these beautiful little tender babies. Yesterday's seeds, tomorrow's nourishment. Gardening teaches me lessons in resilience. Plants struggle through drought, severe conditions, torrential rains, and survive the extreme conditions victorious and ready to bear fruit again. And finally, gardening connects me to the transcending wonder and mystery. Gardening allows me to experience the holy, the divine, closer to the spirit of the universe, Gaia, God, whoever I choose to call my divine. Gardening is just one way that my Unitarian Universalism shows up in my everyday life. What about you? How do you live like a UU? May we give nourishment to our community and our faith. Please take a moment to go to uuca.org/give. The offering will now be given and gratefully received.
I connect this song with UU of Atlanta in a way. I remember being with you, Mark, your music director in 1990 when I wrote this song, and I hoped it would get in the hymn book. And the hymn book committee said, "Oh, it modulates too much, scares people." So just know if you don't know anything about music, you can sing along just fine. Peace is a rolling sea, so full of mystery. I feel its heart in ebb and crest. Peace is a work of art that moves the open heart. Peace is a place to start and final rest. Harmony of harmony, I hear you sing to me. Let it wash over me, let it begin. Harmony of harmony, unfolding melody. I am your instrument. Let peace begin with me. Peace is a beacon bright that brings us inner sight, a radiating light, conquering fear. Peace is the wild bird's call, the painted leaves in fall. Peace is the health of all, I feel it here. Harmony of harmony, I hear you sing to me. Let it wash over me, let it begin. Harmony of harmony, unfolding melody. I am your instrument. Let peace begin with me. Peace is a field of grain, 'neath sun and gentle rain, in nature's glad refrain of love begun. All beings' songs are sung as bells together rung. Peace speaks in every tongue, all songs are one. Harmony of harmony, I hear you sing to me. Let it wash over me, let it begin. Harmony of harmony, unfolding melody. I am your instrument. Let peace begin with me.
I really want to know how you live like a UU. And I assume, since I have this curiosity, that you have this curiosity too, that you want to know how all of you live your lives like a UU. So I just want to invite you to consider this question that Barbara Begner answered for us in that call to offering. She answered the question, how do you garden like a UU? But what else do you do in your life? How do you parent like a UU? Teach like a UU? Drive, I think, was one of the, I'm very compelled by that question. How do you drive like a UU? Would love to know. This is how we are living in community, witnessing to each other's life as people of faith and answering those questions. How does our faith inform our lives, deepen our lives, and grow our souls together? Blessings on your life as a UU, all the ways you live it, and blessings on your generosity, your continued generosity to this inspiring congregation that brings joy and helps us make meaning of our lives each and every week. Blessings on your gift. Please join me now in the call to the offering. In the dedication of the offering. To the work of this congregation, which is weaving a tapestry of love and action we call community, we dedicate our lives, and these are offerings. For this morning's reading, I invite you to close your eyes and to imagine in your mind's eye your favorite tree of your whole life, a tree that you have connected with, maybe not from this time in your life, but an earlier time. Think of this tree, close your eyes as I read Linda Pastan's poem, Vertical. Perhaps the purpose of leaves is to conceal the verticality of trees, which we notice in December as if for the first time, row after row of dark forms yearning upwards. And since we will be horizontal ourselves for so long, let us now honor the gods of the vertical, stalks of wheat which to the ant must seem as high as those trees do to us, silos and telephone poles, stalagmites and skyscrapers. But most of all, these winter oaks, these soft-fleshed poplars, this birch, whose bark is like roughened skin, against which I lean my chilled head, not ready to lie down. So ends this morning's reading. I once intimately knew a tree named Rodriguez. My eldest sister, Maria, named the beautiful black ash in our front yard. Rodriguez was trusty and unscalable, and its paper leaves shivered silvery in the wind, and it was a part of our family. We would greet it in the morning on our way to school, and we would say goodnight to Rodriguez in the evening like a family pet. Oak Park, Illinois, was and still is a city known for its tree diversity and scale, and it means something to grow up in a place that takes special pride in its trees. We Atlantans know this. And it was Earth Day of this year, on April 22nd, at school pickup, when my son asked me a question. Mom, can I have a few extra minutes to play on Grandmother Tree? There was no need to inquire into which tree in the play yard was Grandmother Tree. The answer was obvious. It was the thick, towering oak tree, but that kind with the low-hanging branches and plenty of knots and shelves for climbing. It could be 1,000 years old, and I would not be surprised. This majestic tree is right out of a Tolkien book, and if it had started speaking to us in a low, wise voice, I would not have been surprised by that either. We had somewhere else to rush off to that afternoon, but who says no to such a question? Of course we would stop and play on Grandmother Tree. After all, with all of the real grandmothers hundreds of miles away and no physical contact with them in over a year, we desperately needed a resupply of grandmother energy. And I want to reflect with you on how many of you, when asked what gives you strength in a global pandemic, or just in a time of profound struggle in your life, how many of you answer that what you do is spend time with the trees? I cannot count how many stories I have heard from you about how you released a moment of anxiety by spending time with trees, or what is known as forest bathing. that term that emerged in Japan in the 1980s as a physiological and psychological exercise called Shinrin Yoku, forest bathing, or taking in the forest atmosphere. The purpose was twofold: to offer an eco-antidote to the tech boom burnout that folks were experiencing in the 80s, and to inspire Japanese residents to reconnect with and thereby protect the country's forests. Native evergreens are both aromatic and release a high concentration of phytoncides. These are airborne essential oils that provide a natural immunity boost. The health benefits of this phytoncide shower can last for weeks. The trees shelter you. They invigorate you. They bring you peace. They get you through. And what have you done for the trees lately? Our seventh Unitarian Universalist principle reminds us of our primary commitment to be humble stewards and not violent colonizers of our planet. We are in a relationship of mutual care with Earth. This is not our annual Earth Day reminder, but a daily practice for Unitarian Universalists who honor the interdependent web of life as central to our belief system. That term, tree hugger, well, it came of fashion, also in the 1980s, as a pejorative label for someone who was overly concerned with environmental causes. This person was seen as an outlier in society, a pesky broken record for a lost cause. They were the one crying out in the wilderness of progress and commerce that we should tune in, drop out, and hug a tree. But what is the origin of this term and this idea of a tree hugger? Well, as we heard from Laura Beth earlier, the original tree huggers were incredibly brave. Journalist Lauren Nguyen explains the first tree hugger. This term tree hugger was coined first in 1730 when 294 men and 69 women of the Bishnoi branch of Hinduism physically clung or hugged the trees in their village in order to prevent them from being used to build a palace, as we heard in the story. However, in reality, in history, these original tree huggers were then killed by the foresters, cutting down the trees. However, their lives were not lost in vain. A royal decree was established that outlawed from that point forward any trees to be chopped down in Bishnoi villages. This heroic Bishnoi movement inspired another similar movement in 1974 in Uttar Pradesh, India, where a group of peasant women hugged trees and used themselves as a physical barrier to protect trees from being cut down. This practice became known as tree satyagraha and spread throughout India, culminating in the Chipko movement, meaning to cling. This movement forced massive deforestation reforms across the continent and greatly affected the trees in the Himalayan region. The only way for our Earth to be restored to health is for us in North America to become an armada of tree huggers. In fact, we will need the majority of Americans to become tree huggers, by which I mean tree defenders. As our climate action team announced earlier in the worship service, we have signed on to America's All-In Pledge, committing as a congregation and a community to live more sustainable lives, to make big decisions to conserve energy and deeply reduce our impact on our planet, in support of America's return to the Paris Climate Agreement. We accept this as impacting not only our public policy, but also our private lives. Today, deforestation is a leading cause of global warming. And the truth is, America's forests are a key player in climate restoration, which is the theme of this year's Earth Day, climate restoration. And as more of us become vaccinated, requiring new habits and new perspectives, we emerge from our quarantine not to the old world, but to a world transformed, requiring of us completely new perspectives, new actions, and new relationships with our society and our earth. Let this be a time of restoration of Earth's forests as we all emerge back into the world. Dana Smith, founder and executive director of the Dogwood Alliance, writes that standing forests are the only proven system that can remove and store vast amounts of carbon dioxide from the atmosphere at the scale that is necessary to keep the global temperature rise below 1.5 degrees Celsius in this century. It is therefore essential to not only prevent further emissions from fossil fuels, deforestation, forest degradation, but also to expand our forest's capacity to remove carbon from the atmosphere and store it long term. If we halted deforestation in America, protected existing forests, and expanded and restored degraded forests, we could reduce annual emissions by 75% in the next half century. If fossil fuels were rapidly phased out during this same time period, we could reduce the amount of carbon in the atmosphere, we could meet all the goals of the Paris Agreement, and we could avoid catastrophic climate change. But we cannot solve the climate crisis without a major scale up in forest production and restoration across the planet, and especially North America. We must not only protect remnant primary in the intact forests, but also conserve and restore less pristine landscapes. However, to date, forest protection commitments and funding are far too narrowly focused only on tropical forests. What this means, friends, is that we are now that group of women in Uttar Pradesh, India, facing the axes, facing the bulldozers. This is not a personal preference. This is a moral and spiritual imperative. It is past time to make tree hugging normal, tree defending normal. We are on our way towards living more sustainably and doing our part. There was a lead that I think got a little buried in an announcement in a weekly update a couple of weeks ago, and I just want to lift it up right now, that on March 24th, UUCA was awarded a Good Use Energy Efficiency Grant from Atlanta's Southface Institute. With this award, Southface will match up to $60,000 in funding projects for our new building. The money will help fund energy-efficient measures such as exterior wall insulation and LED lighting at our new home at 2650 North Druid Hills Road. And there may be an opportunity to receive more grant money for more projects in the future. This is exciting news. So let us now honor the gods of the vertical. Looking up at our canopy, we feel like our child selves, protected, comforted in our smallness by Grandmother Tree. Restoring our world, restoring our climate, requires us to be both big and small. Big in our movements of advocacy, big when we are renovating a large property and we have the chance to seriously decrease our footprint on the land, and small when we are getting to know but a single tree in our front yard and naming it and greeting it, hello, Rodriguez, deepening our relationship like a marriage or a lifelong friend, returning to the tree in our time of need, and asking the question we must ask in 2021. What do we owe this tree? What do we owe this earth? The answer, of course, is everything. All that is our lives, we give to this interdependent web of all creation in small and big ways. This is our holy vow. Through the power of relationship, restoration is possible. May it be so. Amen.
So please join us now in singing our final hymn, May Your Life Be as a Song.
May your life be as a song. My wish for you, as now we part, is for greater peace to fill your heart with dreams as vast as starry space. So hurt and anger know no place. May truth be shared and wounds be healed, and joy for living be revealed. Through every fate and circumstance, may hope lead weary steps to dance. And may your life be as a song, resounding with the dawn, to sing awake the light, then softly serenade the stars, ever dancing circles in the night. May fears be turned with keen insight to wisdom for what's just and right. Where sorrow grows, compassion strong, and pains will pass before too long. May the bounds of our diversity serve a richer harmony. May courage hold your heart so true to smile on love when it smiles on you. And may your life be as a song, resounding with the dawn, to sing awake the light, then softly serenade the stars, ever dancing circles in the night. To sing awake the light, then softly serenade the stars, ever dancing circles in the night. And may your life be as a song, resounding with the dawn, to sing awake the light, then softly serenade the stars, ever dancing circles in the night, ever dancing circles in the night, ever dancing circles in the night.
you so much to Jim Scott and friend for joining us with offering such beautiful music. Thank you to Laura Beth Brown, to Jeep and Beth and Michael, the amazing audiovisual team this morning. And thank you for being a part of our seventh principle worship. So I think in this moment, we have heard stories of people giving their life for a tree. At this time, we are being called to give our life to a tree. So this is the spiritual takeaway this morning. Find a tree to build a relationship with. We must all be tree huggers now, tree defenders now, and that begins with relationship. A tree who you can find some rest amongst the branches, some protection in the canopy. Build a relationship with a tree and see where that takes you. See how far that relationship brings you to defending that tree, defending the earth, making different choices with your life and your family's life. And as we take our deep commitment to the interdependent web of all existence out with us into our day, into our week, go in peace, go in love. Amen. And blessed be. And happy Earth Day.